Hey guys, today we are talking batteries. 5 tips and tricks to help keep your batteries stronger, longer. Stay tuned. Alright guys, again, thanks for all the comments and questions about batteries. And today we wanted to cover some of the tips and tricks, some of the things that we do to keep our batteries healthy and strong and last as long as possible. Obviously, these batteries have a certain lifetime and eventually they are going to wear out. So obviously guys, the first thing you want to do is check your operator's manual for any special instructions. But for this video, we're just going to go over 5 general tips and tricks. So guys, for number 1, it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic, and we've talked about it before, but these batteries are shipped from the factory in low power mode to make sure that there aren't any issues during shipping. So the first thing you want to do is plug it into a charger. With less than 30% on most of these batteries when you receive them, they're not going to have enough charge to do anything. And it's best practice to make sure that they're charged up before that full use. Stick it in your charger, get it charged up and ready to go before you use it. And that leads perfectly to our second tip, which is after it's been charged, it's best to run the battery until the battery dies. Now, the great thing about these new lithium batteries is that they run at 100% production until the battery is low, and then it completely cuts the power out. So you can use the tool until the battery cuts off and it doesn't harm the battery or the tool. That means you have fade-free power. You have 100% of the tool's performance power because the battery is delivering all of it to the tool. Once the battery cuts off, that means that the battery is done and needs to be recharged. What's nice about that is you don't have the tool or the drill or the saw lagging or going slow. It's running at full performance. The great thing about that as well is you don't have to wait for the battery to die to charge it back up. You can leave the battery on the charger or use the tool and then charge the battery before the battery's completely dead. It doesn't have to be run completely before it's charged. The point is you can charge the battery when it's convenient to you and don't have to wait for the battery to die or needlessly run batteries until they're dead before charging them back up. This isn't like those old batteries we're used to that fade over time and that need to be cycled or they'll lose some of the run time. These batteries are awesome, guys. You don't have to drain them completely every single time you use them, so keep them topped off and ready to go. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is a safety tip, and that is don't leave your batteries plugged into the tools. The great thing about battery powered tools is that they don't have to be plugged into the wall to be in operating mode. As long as they have a charged battery, they're always in operating mode. The problem is that means anyone can pick up the tool and begin using it. So the safest thing to do is disconnect the battery from the tool after you're done using it. What I'll do when I'm working on a project is if I'm done with the tool for that day or at least for a period of time, I'll disconnect the battery so that I know that no little kids or anyone around can accidentally engage that tool, especially with the saws and drills that can really cause damage and hurt people. It's just a good safety practice to keep the battery out of the tool. Also, there is nothing more frustrating than going out to use a drill or a saw and find out that the battery that's in it is dead and you have to wait for that battery to charge up before you can use that tool again. So pull the battery out, make sure it's topped off and charged up, and that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 has to do with storing and charging the batteries. Now, these batteries are meant to be stored in a location that's below 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. Somewhere below that is where you'd want to be storing those. So a really hot shed or garage is probably not the best place to keep your batteries. It's also, because they're batteries and the nature of batteries, big temperature swings affect the performance and the life of the battery. So if there's a semi-temperature controlled area that you can keep the battery safely and keep them charged and topped off, that's best. The batteries also don't like being cold, however they will perform in cold weather. Typically anything above about 14 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 10 degrees Celsius is their general performance, somewhere above that. Additionally, you want to keep them away from water and any metal that it could make contact to both terminals. Obviously, it's not practical for everyone to keep their batteries inside in a temperature controlled environment, but the important thing to remember with tip number 4 is to be mindful of where you're keeping your batteries. Don't leave them out in the rain or outside in the weather. Make sure that they're in an enclosed area, dry, preferably below 80 degrees and above 14. It's also important to remember that the batteries, when in use, may become hot. And if they're too hot to charge, the battery charger will actually indicate that it's not charging the battery due to the excessive heat. Additionally, if the battery is too cold, it will do the same thing and wait for the battery to become acclimatized before it begins charging. All right guys, now for tip number 5, and this one has to do with cycling and managing the life of your batteries. One thing that we recommend that you do is identify each of your batteries, especially when you start to develop a fairly large collection of batteries. You can begin to cycle through those batteries as you use them. So one thing that we've done to help identify all of the different batteries that we have is a simple label maker on a area of the battery that we can see. Typically when it's already plugged into the battery pack or the tool itself, you can identify which battery you have installed and you can cycle through those batteries accordingly. We've used a simple ABC battery system, so each battery has a different letter based on the type of battery and the order in which we acquired the battery. Additionally, we've also put the date we acquired the battery. So for this example, this battery we got on 11/17, so November of 2017 is when we acquired this battery. That gives us an idea of how old the battery is. As it starts to deteriorate, we know whether or not it's actually deteriorating or if there's something malfunctioning in the battery, and then we can take the appropriate action from there. The important thing to remember is that batteries are a lot like a muscle and need to be used. So by labeling the batteries, we're able to use them in sequence and give every battery a chance to get used. So guys, that's it for today's video. Give us the thumbs up if you liked our list. Comment below to let us know all of the things that we left out, and make sure to check out our website for more information about what we're doing. Thanks for watching, guys. These batteries are awesome. You don't have to drain them completely, so teep.